I'm sorry, but even with this stupid dongle, their app is just as stupid. Like, nothing's working. I made a bunch of changes and parameters and set points, and like if you want to use enthalpy settings, like you go into this thing and you do configuration, configure new setup, and then let's say you want to set it for economizer mode, right? And you go, oh, I want to set it for enthalpy, right? You got to do math, and it's just dumb. Like, here's the thing. The Honeywell Jade setup, while Honeywell probably is charging a lot of money, who knows? The whole point of that economizer was it made it super easy for idiots like me to understand the economizer, right?
This video is brought to you by Sporlan. Quality, integrity, and tradition.
Welcome, my friends. So today, we've got an AC replacement. We're gonna be changing this 7.5 ton package unit. It's functional and operational, but it's in really bad shape, and the customer agreed that it was time to replace it. So, it is currently 5:30 in the morning. It's an early morning start. We have a crane showing up at 7. So we're just gonna go about unhooking this thing. And it's a like-for-like replacement, so not a big deal. We're just gonna unhook everything. Oh, that sucks. That 115 volt convenience receptacle. Oh, that's interesting. I gotta figure out where that power's coming in from. But yeah, so we're just gonna get everything unhooked. My unit is right there, okay? And our crane is gonna set up right in this area. So we're nice and good. We're gonna actually send someone down there to block off those spots right now, but nobody's gonna park there this morning. We are all unhooked as best as we can tell. We just haven't turned off main power at the disconnect switch as of yet. We just pulled the disconnect, but I got someone going down there. We're gonna try to reuse as much of that. We'll put a new disconnect switch in though. We're gonna have to redo some gas lines because they had a flex connector. Thermostat wires routing through there. I haven't pushed it down yet because I just don't want it to drop down 6 feet. And we have 115 volt electrical coming through here, through a hole right in the side of the unit. That's not even sealed. Like, look at that, just a hole. That's lovely. Love getting there early. New unit's already disconnected, ready to go. Power turned off. We're gonna redo a bunch of stuff. We're ready to lift. It's 6:12. Crane will be here at 7 a.m. All right, new unit is set. There's some flashing underneath, but I'm not worried about that. So everything looks fine, unit's level. We did have to push some conduit up through there. We had to pre-drill those holes, which is fine. So we're good on that. We'll have to seal that up because they didn't use a watertight connector on that. We'll seal it though. Yeah, that's it. So now we're just gonna start hooking everything up. So first and foremost, we need to get this unit running because it's gonna be probably about 95 today. So we're gonna get the drain hooked up, disconnect, power. It's got new conduit, so we'll be able to reuse that section and then go from there. All right, got the disconnect switch mounted, running through. Wires coming all up in there. They're zip tied up so that way they're out of the way. Going into here, but I do have to say something. Hey Carrier, how about you don't do stupid stuff, and let's not paint your line voltage screws green when the other two are blue. Probably not a good idea. Luckily I know what I'm doing and I know that that's line 3, but yeah, that's legit painted green, and they use that same green paint for everything in the unit. That's just dumb. All right, got fuses, got power turned on. We have 3-phase power. Now I'm just torquing down all the fittings. Now it calls for 50 pounds. It calls for 35 to 50 pounds or inch-pounds of torque. I just went in and set it for 48 on the torque wrench. Now this is an insulated torque wrench, so I'm safe to grab on a live circuit if I need to. Now what I did was I tightened them down, loosened them, tightened them down, loosened them, tightened them down, you know, just roughly tight with a normal screwdriver. Then I used the torque wrench to actually torque them, okay? So with this, you wanna make sure that you're really grabbing in there, and it takes quite a bit, but it'll come back. I'm trying to get in there. Oh, goddamn. That one, kind of need 2 hands, but you guys get the point because it's pretty tight on these things, and it's really easy to strip them out. So I'm gonna get 2 hands on this. But all right, now we're gonna check phase rotation. So we have the meter set to phase, so we're gonna go line 1 to 2. Careful. Okay, and it's gonna tell us line 3. Leave line 1 on, switch over to line 3, and now it's saying line 3, 2, 1. Okay, so it's saying the phases are crossed. Now question is, are the phases correct over here? Now I'm gonna go ahead and correct it right here, and we'll see if it fixes the problem. But sometimes I've found where they have them wired up backwards at the main for the unit, right? So we'll switch 2 leads on this one, and then hopefully the phase rotation will be correct. All right, we are wired in. So what we ended up doing was down here, I put a receptacle down at the bottom for the thermostat wires, made sure I siliconed it down, drilled holes before we brought the unit up. Then this one is our convenience receptacle. We ran it over and out here, and we have a GFCI on that one, okay? Obviously the AC is right there. We got extra fuses in there. We haven't done the gas lines yet. We're gonna get on that. We need to get the unit running. We got a P-trap, and the way we do our P-traps, if possible, 2 unions and plenty of clean out. So you can clean the trap that way, and straight down into the building. So that's good. Now we just need to fire this up and see if it's going in the right direction as far as the phase rotation, and then set the blower speed. Let's go ahead and flip the disconnect on. Oh, turn it off real quick. We got to check the transformer tap. Let's see what we got going on here. So it is tapped for 240 volts right there. So we need to tap it for 208. So we need to move this guy in here. This happens a lot with us. We typically are running 208 for our electrical service. So I'm gonna turn the camera off, get that flipped over, then we'll test phase rotation. All right, we are tapped, go ahead. That's running backwards. Let me check the other one. Oh, is that? Wait. Sounds like it's running backwards. Flip it over. We'll change it real quick and see. Maybe it's not, but it sounds loud to me. All right, so we have power on now, so let's bump it. Sounds much better. So that just goes to show, just because phase rotation is backwards at the disconnect doesn't mean that, you know, so you correct it, well, they wired it backwards at the unit. So we corrected it to where it was line 1, 2, 3 coming out of the disconnect, but still where it's landing in here is backwards. So whatever. All right, we we are ready to start this guy up. So we're gonna put the blower panel on and then go ahead and set the blower speed. All right, this unit has the Eco Blue thing. So in order to set the speed on the thing, what we need to do is find our total external static, which is kind of high at 1.5. So we're gonna trace that down to our desired CFM. So I'm gonna interpolate that needs to be 9.2 VDC, okay? So if we come over here, and I've got it right at 9.18, so I'm not gonna put it any faster than that. We're running, we're gonna let the building cool down, clean up our messes, and then we'll start getting gas lines and stuff. This thing has this new Siemens economizer, and I have to say this is a royal piece of junk, like absolutely junk. It's just dumb, like, and they didn't send the right instructions for it. They sent instructions for a Jade controller. So I'm like trying to download it and I can't find the right instructions. Regardless, you can buy a Wi-Fi stick and then you can program it with your phone. So I'm gonna look into getting that Wi-Fi stick. We're not worried about that right now. So like I said, they're cooling, we're just cleaning up. We're probably gonna take a lunch too. All right, I got the economizer disconnected. I'm gonna get that Wi-Fi stick. It's just stupid. So we are currently working on doing the gas line. So we're going to get a couple fittings. We had a bunch of extra fittings in the truck, so we're gonna be able to make it all work. I've got this thing fully running. I've got it probed up, all that good stuff. We are running high static, which is pretty typical on package units. I never size the ductwork right. Okay, so here's what we got going on. Let's scroll back. Overall though, this unit's looking really good. So, superheat's kind of ranging, moving around. Expansion valve's finding its happy place, okay. Subcooling doesn't look too horrible on this. Outdoor air temperature is about 95 degrees. Evaporator saturation is about 44, condensing about 110. Temperature split's about 21 degrees. We're calling for about 24, so it's not too bad. And like I said, we do have some ductwork problems. Airflow's relatively okay. It's kind of ranging right now, but delivered capacity seems to be, we're calling for about 80,000 BTUs. Something's kind of bouncing around, but I'm not too worried about it. This thing's really doing everything that it can. Don't see any major issues. Like I said, I'll set the economizer. We went ahead and it came with some crappy poly filters. We went ahead and put some pleated filters in there on this guy because they'll plug up the poly filters in no time. Look at the economizer module location. That's totally gonna go bad. Like, it's gonna disintegrate with the outside air. Drain line's there. Everything's good. So the guys are just gonna finish up the gas line, paint it. They'll paint the drain line too, just to make it look pretty. And that's it. This is the new carrier unit that has a parallel compressor setup. So, you know, I mean, first stage, second stage, and they'll stage off. All right, it's been about 2 weeks since we did the install on this unit, and I had ordered this dongle that supposedly allows you to plug into the economizer module so you can program it easier. Let's see. I don't have any instructions or anything. I just have a QR code in the mobile app on my phone. I'm gonna plug in the dongle and try to connect it and see if we can program it. So my first step is, because I disconnected the economizer last time, I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the economizer, power it up, and then we'll go through the steps and see what we can figure out. All right, the economizer is powered up. We have a display on here. I have the mobile app installed on my phone. I just scanned that, allowed you to download it. Again, no instructions with anything, even with the dongle. So I'm gonna plug in the dongle, give it a second, and then on the app, it's asking me that guy, plug in the Wi-Fi stick, continue, acknowledge, continue, open Wi-Fi settings. Probably gotta connect to that. So now I gotta find a password. I don't know, I gotta Google search how to figure out the password for this now. A quick Google search says that this is the default password, so let's see if this connects. Seems like it's gonna work. I don't even know if this is gonna make anything any easier. Let's just hope that it does. Connect only this time. I just inputted it. What the? Okay, let me play around before I start throwing my phone and saying expletives, or however you say that word. All right, I inputted it again and it works. Now, it says that I am connected to the controller on my phone, So let's go ahead and figure out configuration. Configure new setup, brand new. Title 24 economizer. Thermostat. That's already set up, I think. Economizer configuration. Economizer mode. I mean, mixed or leaving temperature. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna go through here. It's differential. Wow, yeah, so I'm just gonna have to go through the programming and see what we can get to here. I'm sorry, but even with this stupid dongle, their app is just as stupid. Like, nothing's working. I made a bunch of changes and parameters and set points, and like if you want to use enthalpy settings, like you go into this thing and you do configuration, configure new setup, and then let's say you want to set it for economizer mode, right? And you go, oh, I want to set it for enthalpy, right? You got to do math, and it's just dumb. Like, here's the thing. The Honeywell Jade setup, while Honeywell probably is charging a lot of money, who knows? The whole point of that economizer was it made it super easy for idiots like me to understand the economizer, right? This one, it doesn't tell you, when you want to set up, let me explain it, okay? So if I go right here and I want to change the differential enthalpy, right? So let's say differential dry bulb, but let's say single enthalpy, okay? Instead of telling me what the relative humidity of the outside air and the temperature is, it just tells you this. Like, and there's no instructions, right? So then you playing with it, you click on temperature and it says, oh, you click on manual settings and you click temperature. Okay, then you can set the temperature, right? And then what about the enthalpy setting? Well, don't you think it should tell you relative humidity instead of making you do math to figure out 28 BTUs per pound and then put it into a calculator? I realize people can do that, but the whole point of the Jade economizer, and even the Belimo, which I've never used before, but I know the Belimo's easy to use too. Why all these manufacturers are switching over to this stupid Siemens one that nobody understands? They're gonna ruin the whole economizer gang again. For the longest time, nobody understood economizers because they were impossible to work on, right? Instructions were difficult. Now they're going back to that. Because I'm pretty sure I saw this in a Linux unit and a Carrier unit. Once I get past the damper settings, right, I've got that, I want to close the damper. So I go and do a test and I say damper close and nothing's happening. It's not even closing. Like, oh, good grief. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call tech support for Carrier and deal with that and try to get them to walk me through this. Like, what the heck? Genuinely don't have patience for this right now. Like, okay, so here's the deal. I'm texting with technical support because they haven't called me back. They just text me model numbers and stuff, okay? So, then I got something to happen with the economizer, but it's still not working right, okay? But here's what I noticed is that I went through the programming and I got it to save. I had to put in a bunch of passwords and stuff that it doesn't give you, but I figured that out. Okay, so I got that, but I cannot get it to function the way that I want it to. I think I have it programmed now, but the actuator, this says it's closed, but it's open, okay? I know it's getting power because when you disconnect it, it closes, but for some reason it's springing to the complete open position, and I'm trying to figure that out. The actuator is also registering an error because it was giving you the red flashing light, okay? So that's closed, and when you plug it in, it'll take a few minutes and then it'll open all the way up. It's like something's backwards. I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out. All right, tech support actually is helping me. Believe it or not, they're texting me pictures and it's actually kind of helping. At first I was frustrated they didn't call me back. So what actually happened was the dip switches were incorrectly set on the damper motor. They were set to reverse what it was doing. So when it thought it was closed, it was open. So I flipped that around and now I'm running tests and it's actually opening and closing and looks to be good. So I'm gonna keep going through the setup, making sure that I get everything right. So now that I figured that out, it's kind of making more sense. I still think this is kind of silly and it could be a little bit easier with an app, but so we'll see. But I'm running tests right now. I do appreciate that, you can look at the operation and the set points, the inputs. You can see what, the economizer's seeing right now. So yeah, it's all right. It's getting better, but I'm still running through some tests right now. All right, I think I got it all figured out. So configuration, oh wait, cancel that. So operation, we have the fan speed set points, the low speed and the high speed set points. So basically, this is a 2-speed operation on this fan. Second stage calls for high speed, first stage calls for low speed. So I've got my economizer minimum position set. Basic set points, we set it up just for dry bulb because we don't really have humidity here, so there's no reason to sweat on that. So I basically have it set to economize below 55 degrees because we still want to have a temperature differential, okay? We have, I just realized too, the barometric damper was stuck. So barometric damper was like glued shut. That's funny. So, I mean, everything else is basically set. The unit state should show the condition of the unit right now. So we're in our minimum outside air position on low speed, I believe, right now. Outside air temperature is accurate at 79 degrees. So, yeah, this thing's taking forever, but I got it set up. So we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect from it, and we're gonna leave it alone. So we are operational. This unit's doing everything that it can now. I don't see any other issues. We haven't done a heat startup, but it's 80 degrees. We're not going to do a heat startup right now. So I just have the gas valves turned off and everything. Other than that, yeah, we're good to go. My opinions on this economizer still aren't great, but it's easier definitely with the app. Like, honestly, it's almost impossible to figure everything out from the module. That's just dumb. So you got to get that Wi-Fi stick. I don't think the Wi-Fi stick cost me any more than $100 or something. So yeah, it doesn't seem too bad. And then I think it's still in, like, to read, but I think that's still in like setup mode or something. So I'll reset it and make sure that it goes back into normal operation. But that's it.
You know, I went off on a rant in this video with the economizer thing, but genuinely, it is so dumb, okay? The industry needs to do better. The industry, Carrier, Lennox, Trane, York, insert another big manufacturer. They all need to do better at educating the industry. The only way this industry is going to be successful is if technicians can understand how this equipment works. I'm not a genius. I know that, okay? I'm genuinely not a genius. But I know that other people struggle with this too. That economizer module needs to be easy. It needs to be plain and simple. So an idiot like me can push a couple buttons and it works fine, okay? I shouldn't have to go in to a chart, plot numbers on a chart to find out, you know, how many BTUs per pound there is in air at this temperature, at this humidity. You shouldn't have to do that, okay? That is just dumb. Give me a chart. Make it easy, okay? Now, the manufacturer Carrier did not send the proper installation instructions for the economizer. Also, because I'm quoting another Carrier for another job right now, I requested, I want a Honeywell Jade economizer with this new quote. And I was told by my rep. Now, I realize Sigler's is my rep for Carrier, okay? And it's probably their decision because they're not selling me a Carrier economizer. They're selling me an aftermarket economizer that they're adding onto it. It's an option, right? So this isn't from Carrier. I don't know what the module would be if we special ordered this economizer built from Carrier. Maybe it's the Siemens, maybe it's something else. But my distributor has chosen, at least my understanding of it, to use this Siemens economizer, you know, made by whoever puts the package together. But it's just ridiculously stupid. And shame on Siemens too, you guys. You guys genuinely put effort into making this economizer module, into putting a QR code on there, into having a smartphone app. Why wouldn't you put the Wi-Fi capability into the economizer module? Well, I know why, because then they don't make as much money and they get to sell a $100 dongle or whatever it is, right? But regardless, I know I'm whining, I'm complaining, but my point is that this industry needs all the help it can get to remain successful. And these manufacturers are giving themselves a black eye by providing subpar equipment with their equipment that they're selling, okay? It's insane that they would have an economizer module that is so difficult to set up. It's just dumb. Go back to a Belimo setup or a Honeywell Jade setup where it just asks you basic, dumb questions and you can walk your way through. It's intuitive, okay? This assembly is not intuitive whatsoever, and it's just dumb. And that's how the industry's getting. The industry's getting that way. And it's funny how the pendulum is swinging. There was such a big rush to make economizers easier for service technicians. There was such a big effort put into it. There was training, government subsidized training, all that stuff here in Southern California. There was tons of it. And then now we're swinging the other way where we're going back to the stupid logic that these controllers have that makes it more and more difficult. So I predict, the location of that module, it's going to make the module go bad. And I bet you anything that module is going to cost the customer $1,200 for me to sell it to them and install it. When if the manufacturer of the economizer assembly, just pre-wired it like Micrometal. Micrometal is the company that used to provide the economizers for my distributor. And while I didn't care for their instructions, they made it easy to wire it into the main control panel and locate the Jade controller in the electrical box, right? This one doesn't. It's just dumb. Regardless, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but it's just dumb. Carrier, someone show this to Carrier. That's just plain dumb. You guys are dumb. Fix your stuff. Make this equipment easier for technicians to install. Make it easier. It makes you more successful. It makes us as service business owners more successful too. So Carrier, get your crap together. Linux, get your crap together. Whoever else is using these stupid modules, okay? I just did an install on a York Predator package unit, and they have their proprietary JCI controller. That's dumb, okay? All you guys need to make this easier. Make it user-friendly. Make it intuitive. We shouldn't have to open an instruction manual to do the startups on these things. Yeah, I realize you need to be a technician and you need to be educated. Yeah, that's great, okay? But you also need to be able to just turn something on, okay? I realize, there's certain settings in a package unit. If you're setting up a high-end piece of equipment, yeah, you should have to read a manual, but not an economizer module. That's just dumb, okay? So anyways, rant over. I really appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video as usual. Thank you so very much. If you haven't already, please consider checking out my website, hvacrvideos.com. We have merchandise available on there. It's a great way to help support the channel. Hats, beanies, sweaters. We've got both style of beanies, women's fit t-shirts, all that good stuff. It's a great, great way to help support the channel. And guys, I really try not to step on the merchandise. I'm not making $1 million from this. I basically have about $5 profit built into every hat that I sell. Okay, that's it. I'm not over here trying to just make a ton. Okay, I'm really not. On the shirts and the sweaters, actually the sweaters, I don't have any profit built into them because they weren't selling. So I basically took all my profit and I'm just selling them at cost basically, which is fine. But yeah, if you want to buy a sweater, help me get rid of them because I'll never order those again. I just want to get rid of them. But other ways to help support the channel, if you're interested in doing so, the easiest way to help support this channel is just watch the videos from beginning to end. That really is the easiest way. Last but not least, you can support the channel via PayPal, Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. There's links in the show notes. And through TrueTechTools.com. If you're interested in purchasing any tools that you see me using, a good majority of them I have purchased from TrueTech Tools with my own money. If you go to TrueTechTools.com and use my offer code BIGPICTURE, right, one word at checkout, that is an affiliate code. You get a small discount, right? Typically about 8% on majority of the items on their website. There's a few things the discount doesn't apply to, but majority of the items, you'll get an 8% discount, and then I get a small commission from that. And it's just a great way. It's a win-win. You get the tools that you want or you need, and then I get a small commission from it, and it doesn't really cost you anything extra. So check it out at TrueTechTools.com. Again, I really do appreciate you. Thank you so very much, and we will catch you on the next one.